The observation deck of the Talcaris research vessel hummed with quiet efficiency as Lisa Chen leaned against the transparent aluminum viewport, watching the stars drift past. 3 months into deep space, and the vastness still took her breath away. "Dr. Chen, you should see this." Nick Reeves, her research partner, gestured toward the holographic display where their alien hosts had gathered. The Vormec were a curious species, ursine in appearance, covered in dense fur that ranged from silver to deep amber. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, with intelligent golden eyes that held depths of ancient wisdom. For 2 centuries, they'd been humanity's closest allies among the Galactic Coalition, though humans had only joined that alliance 15 years ago. Commander Thralvin, the ship's captain, motioned them closer with a massive paw. "The distress signal originates from Sector 7. Kryn raiders." Lisa's blood ran cold. The Kryn Dominion had been expanding aggressively for decades, conquering species after species with brutal efficiency. Their exoskeletal bodies were nearly impervious to standard weapons, and their battle tactics were merciless. "How many ships?" Nick asked, his voice steady despite the tension. 3 Kryn destroyers, 1 civilian transport, Felnari refugees." Thralvin's ears flattened against his skull, a sign of deep concern. "We are a research vessel. We have no weapons." Lisa watched the hologram update. Hundreds of life signs on that transport, families, children. Her hands clenched. "How long until Coalition forces arrive?" 47 minutes, the communications officer reported. "The transport has 16 minutes of life support remaining." The bridge fell silent. The mathematics were cruel and absolute. "We have to do something," Lisa said quietly. Thralvin's massive head turned toward her, those golden eyes searching. "Dr. Chen, we cannot—" "You can't," Lisa interrupted, then looked at Nick. She saw the same resolution in his eyes that burned in her chest. "But we can," Nick nodded slowly. "The emergency shuttle has basic maneuvering thrusters. If we create enough of a distraction, you would die," Thralvin said flatly. "The Kryn would destroy you before you closed half the distance." "Maybe," Lisa conceded. "But maybe we buy those refugees enough time." She met the commander's gaze without flinching. "Isn't that what allies do?" What happened next would later be analyzed in military academies across a dozen worlds. 2 humans, scientists, not soldiers, launched from a research vessel in a shuttle designed for short-range evacuation. They had no weapons, no shields, no training. They had only human stubbornness and a desperate gamble. Lisa piloted while Nick worked the communications array, broadcasting on every frequency. "Kryn vessels, this is human shuttle Defiance. You are in violation of Coalition space. Power down your weapons and withdraw." The lead Kryn destroyer responded with plasma fire that vaporized the space where they'd been seconds before. Lisa's hands danced across the controls, weaving through the barrage with instinct born of countless hours in flight simulators. Training meant for asteroid surveys, now repurposed for survival. "They're taking the bait," Nick reported, his voice tight. All 3 destroyers breaking pursuit of the transport. On the Talcaris, Thralvin watched with his entire crew as the tiny shuttle danced between death beams. The humans were impossibly agile, squeezing thrust from systems never meant for combat, finding angles that shouldn't exist. But physics was physics. A glancing hit sheared away their starboard panel. Alarm screamed. "Life support at 40%, Nick called out. "Hull breach in Section 3, Lisa's fingers flew. "Rerouting power from everything but engines and communications." She glanced at her partner. "You should have stayed on the ship." "And let you have all the fun?" Nick managed a grin despite the blood trickling from his temple where he'd struck the console. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't do anything heroic." Too late. They lasted 11 minutes. 11 impossible minutes where 2 humans and a wounded shuttle held the attention of 3 warships. 11 minutes where the Felnari transport burned every ounce of fuel fleeing to safety. When the Coalition fleet arrived, the Defiance was a burning shell, spiraling through space. The Kryn, realizing their mistake, attempted to retreat but found themselves surrounded. The Vormec recovery team found Lisa and Nick in the wreckage, unconscious but alive, protected by the emergency stasis field they'd activated in the final seconds. They were rushed to medical where Thralvin waited. 2 days later, Lisa woke to find the commander sitting beside her bed. Nick was in the next bay, already awake and arguing with the doctors about discharge procedures. "The Felnari made it," Thralvin rumbled. 437 souls, including 73 cubs. Lisa tried to speak, but her throat was raw. The commander offered her water. When my people first encountered humanity, he continued, we were puzzled. You are small, physically weak. Your world tried to kill you at every turn, yet you not only survived but thrived. His enormous paw gestured at her bandaged form. Now I understand. You do not know how to give up. You see the impossible and attempt it anyway. A young Vormec medic, barely past adolescence, approached hesitantly. He looked at Lisa with wonder in his golden eyes, then gently touched the medical display showing her injuries. The burns, the fractured ribs, the wounds that spoke of sacrifice. The cub's voice was soft, awed. Does the enemy know you're ours? Lisa blinked, confused by the question. Thralvin's chest rumbled with what might have been a laugh. He asks, the commander translated, though the words had been clear enough. If the Kryn understand that they have made an enemy of humanity, if they know what it means that Earth has joined the coalition, his eyes gleamed. If they comprehend what you'll do for family. Lisa looked at the young Vormec, at Thralvin, at Nick grinning from his bed. She thought of refugees she'd never met, living because two humans were too stubborn to accept math. They'll learn, she whispered. And throughout the galaxy, as word spread of what happened in Sector 7, species who'd dismissed humanity as insignificant began to reconsider. The Kryn, for the first time in their expansion, felt something unfamiliar. They felt concern, because now they knew. Humanity didn't just have allies. Humanity was the ally you wanted when everything went wrong.